Thank you very much for inviting me to help moderate this. This is going to be an exciting conversation, and it can't be a better panel to be chatting with. You know, the entire issue of today is really about looking forward, but it's not as easy as we all think. And we have between Vivek, Partha, Romal, people who actually are in the core of running businesses. Thankfully, the last 1 year, I've been seeing it from the sides. And so it's good to have an independent view when I'm not operationally neck deep. But I think I want to really start this afternoon conversation, Vivek, with you. You run a fairly complex and big piece of business, something which is touching lives of people also in the crisis that we are in today. But my question to you is, sitting at where you sit as a CEO of a large company, how do you actually see companies like yours or others respond to the near-term operational challenges and the near-term risks, right? We are in the midst of the crisis. So how do you see that happening? What is working well? And what are possibly some of the top of the mind struggles that you typically either experience or you hear from fellow CEOs? Vivek.
Thank you very much, Prabir and Deepak. It's a pleasure to be part of this panel. And I hope that everyone's families are safe and healthy. You know, in the late 1930s, there was an aviator by the name of Douglas Corrigan. And Corrigan at that time had submitted a plan to basically fly from Brooklyn to California. His subsequent 29-hour flight actually landed in Dublin, Ireland. And July 19th, 1938, there was a big headline in the newspapers which says, Corrigan flies by the seat of his pants, right? Which basically meant that while he was flying, there were very few navigational aids available, and he ended up flying through using his judgment. And honestly, that's what the last few weeks have looked like. This crisis is unprecedented. There is no playbook. And however hard we can pretend to try and find the answers, honestly, most of us are really flying by the seat of our pants. What I've seen is an amazing level of creativity, some tremendous agility, and some fantastic collaboration. But what the last few weeks has really been, it's been about jugaad, and it's been about a certain amount of ad hocism. The reason is the lockdown came completely unannounced. The lockdown was completely unplanned. And one can arguably say it was extremely poorly executed. So every single business had to desperately find ways to make sense of the situation. And what's been difficult is that the guidelines have been changing on a daily basis. Just think about the number of new rules that have been put into place. Beyond these guidelines, the local implementation, the local translation on the ground has just been a big, big challenge for almost all the companies. So what we basically did was we said, let's adopt a three-pronged approach. Number one, let's ensure that our employees are safe and healthy. Number two, wherever possible, when we manufacture essential products, let's try and see if we can improve the supply of our essential products. And number three, this is beyond us, a public health, humanitarian, and an economic crisis. So what can we do to start playing a meaningful impact in our communities? What we then did was basically adopted a three-pronged approach. We called it restart, recover, and retool. Restart was all about trying to get our business back on track, ensuring safety, and trying to at least get some semblance of supply chain operations. The second part of it is recover. So as the business starts recovering, how can we ramp up supply chain operations? How can we ramp up distribution? How can we start getting our employees back to work? And also look at tactical innovations. The third part is retool. We recognize that this crisis in many ways will give us some tremendous opportunities to be able to deal with the new normal. So how will consumer behaviors and attitudes change? What will the future supply chain look like? What will future distribution look like? How do we adapt and innovate to new ways of working? So I think, Prabir, in many ways, this is a work in process. I think operationally, we have done a few things well, but it's largely been driven by the agility and passion of our team members on the ground. But honestly, it has been much more about flying by the seat of our pants approach.